Oh yeah, and if you do want to, on Facebook.
You're live on Facebook right now, Josh.
Oh, we're live on Facebook?
Heck yeah.
You already went live?
Yeah. It's alright though. No one's watching. No one knows what's going on.
Do you want me to share it on there?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
If we all share it, usually more people tune in while it's live, so you can get like interaction with people. And
yeah, and if I make it public too, there's a lot of people that like aren't.
So it's the offices at China Hall Facebook
Offices
page.
at China Hall.
Yep. I'll do it as
There
well.
it is. Oh, I like that GoPro shot.
That is a good shot.
Okay.
Thank you to the GoPro.
Thank you.
Let's share this.
And what's your username on Instagram?
Spiced Up Mom.
Spiced. Oh.
I hate it, but MasterChef liked it and wouldn't let me change it.
There you go. I like it. I like it. All right, we are live. Live. The camera that's going to be the main camera, everybody, is the GoPro right up here.
Okay.
So if you ever want to talk to the camera, that's probably where it is.
Perfect.
With your volume, if you just turn it down on the side, then we won't hear the echo.
There we go. Oops. All right.
Yep.
It should be, I think I shared it onto my page. Didn't I?
That's awesome. Offices of China Hall on what day of the week is it? Wednesday? Wednesday. Coming back from a long break. Josh has been in all over. Where have you been?
North.
Where?
Then went to Duluth, then up to Tofty, and then Grand Marais. Did some hiking, cliff jumping, eating, and yeah, it's a good time. I brought my drone, beautiful area, and I forgot my propellers. Yeah, so I was hyped about that.
Turn that down on my iPad if you don't mind. Does it do like water? Like, can it be like a boat? You can just send it out on a boat, drone the bottom of the lake.
I mean, I can throw it in and it'll probably record for a little bit.
Yeah.
Before it dies.
And today we are joined, and I just got her Instagram handle by the Spiced Up Mom. Your favorite handle.
I like that.
Love it.
Introduce yourself. Who are you?
I am Shari Mukherjee. I am a stay-at-home mom from Rochester, Minnesota, and I'm on the 10th season of MasterChef.
That is exciting.
That's so cool. Tanner, we just pulled up our picture here of MasterChef on the TV. Oh, did you guys watch that? Oh yeah, no, I'm on it. Like, oh, okay.
That's awesome. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Millville, so about 20 miles from Rochester here. It's a small town, looking at more cows than people. I mean, it's like maybe 200 people, really small town.
But they have a really good restaurant, don't they?
They do. They have a few really good things down in Millville. I mean, it's beautiful. You have the river. There's Whiskey Dick's.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fun bar.
I'm not
Like,
there.
yeah, you should take a trip.
I should. Is it the Hubble House? Is that
No, that's in Manorville.
Manorville.
Yeah.
And then what is it? So it's Casson, Manorville is the high school, and then Millville is that close by?
Plainview, Elgin, Millville.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry,
Yep.
I was all over
I was
the
like Casson. I don't think that's part of Millville.
No.
No, Plainview, Elgin, Millville.
Yep.
Awesome.
And when I was a kid, it was Elgin, Millville, and then Plainview connected later. But I actually went to high school and finished up my elementary school in Lake City.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So.
Neat.
Yeah, we always played PEM and sports
Okay.
because I was in Wabasha, but yeah,
Plainview, Elgin,
Millville.
Millville.
Yep.
And they all are combined into one high school?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so there's so many that they just
Pretty small towns, and so they
beat
just.
every sport.
Yeah.
They do? They are really good?
I mean, when we were in school, they were really good, yeah.
Oh.
They're really good. I think a lot of it is, so many of the kids are working on farms, so they're
Yeah.
used to working hard and they're naturally athletic.
Bunch of city kids playing against them, no chance.
Not
They're
gonna
really good
happen.
at video games. Like, play EA Sports and take it down
Mhm.
all day long. When you were in high school, when you were in elementary school, when you were young,
Mhm.
did you like cooking?
No. I liked baking. I always liked baking. My grandma, they lived on a farm, and so she did a lot of baking. My grandma, my dad's mom, she baked cakes. So I was always surrounded with baking. Cooking, I just never really was a fan. I mean, didn't really strike me as something fun, something interesting. I ate a lot of, hamburger, a lot of pizza. I mean, like normal stuff I think a lot of kids eat, but I wasn't an adventurous eater by any means.
And you weren't always a cook, right?
Definitely not always a cook. I was a pretty bad cook.
She was just telling us a story about what her husband sent in. You gotta let us know here what that was about.
I was trying to get set up.
Yeah.
I was running behind. So I'm like, I feel like I just got 3 miles of running in place. The one laptop didn't work.
Did you go to your house?
Yeah. I got the other laptop and then it worked. I'm like running down the street with the laptop. People probably thought that I stole the thing. So tell me the story.
So I was just a really bad cook, and I married my husband, or when I met my husband, he's from India, and he grew up with food just being like the center of everything. And Indian cuisine is so much different than anything I was ever exposed to. I mean, I didn't even have a curry until I was in my 20s. It was just something I never knew. And so when we were first married, there was a TV show that had just kind of started on the Food Network, and it was called Worst Cooks in America. And I'm not even kidding, he sent in an application for me for that.
Way.
I have the email to prove it. And
that is awesome.
Yeah, and
you need to frame it.
and so he sent in an application, and producers were like calling and reaching out, and I was like, I'm not doing that show. Like, I don't want to be. They're just gonna make fun of me. I'm not gonna be on that show. And
That's so great.
Yeah, and later that summer, we had bought our first house, and we put it in the TV and turned it on, and like literally the first show that popped up on the TV was first season of MasterChef. Just weird, and I'd never seen the show. It was brand new. I'd never even heard of it, but we watched it, and I told my husband, I was like, "That's the show I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on that show."
Right when it came out.
Right when it came out. It was the very first season, and then we watched season 1 through like season 4. Season 4 was fun because there was a contestant from Minnesota. There's only been 2 of us now to get aprons, so it's a pretty big thing.
That's
you
cool.
know. And so watching the first season, I was just like, that's the show I want to be on. And I started a food blog and just started teaching myself. I tried to learn. Some of that also had to do with the fact, like, I wanted to impress my in-laws and show them that, I'm good enough for your son, like.
I know how to cook.
Well, and I get it. They were worried that he's going to forget his culture. He's in America. They're in India. It's a scary thing. Like, as a mom now, I see it. As, like, a 23-year-old person, I didn't, but now I can understand and be a little bit more sympathetic to that. And so, originally, I feel like I probably started learning to cook Indian food to just kind of, like, make a point, like, prove a point. And to my surprise, I really found out that I loved cooking. Like, it was just fun to experiment. The spices, trying to learn the spices, that was a big feat. I mean, there were times I would cook something, and I'm never one to follow recipes, even when I was learning. And so, like, I would just kind of wing it. Mm-hmm. And there would be times that, like, we couldn't eat dinner. It was so bad. But you learn from that. And I'm a big proponent of learning from your mistakes. So I never try to necessarily ignore my mistakes or pretend they didn't happen. I embrace them and try to learn from them. And I think that helped me on the show quite a lot. Because we all make mistakes.
What show did you apply your husband for? If he's applying you for shows, like, you better be applying him.
I know, I better find something. I'm going to have to go home and think about this. I don't know.
There's a Rochester guy that got on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
When?
Recently. It was recently wrote up.
Really?
Yeah, recently.
I missed that.
So you can get on all. It was like being on a show in your blood. Like, I feel like if you're like, I'm gonna be on a show in my lifetime or something like that.
I never really thought about it. I guess you can, if I'm being honest, I'll say I've probably always liked attention. Mm-hmm. I think almost anyone that applies for a show has some part of them that likes attention. Like, if you go to a party, you're gonna be boisterous, or you're gonna be, like.
It's like show business too. I mean, you like. So I think about my example of growing up in the hunting industry and filming. Like, I liked the people that were in front of the camera doing their hunting stuff. Like, I hear you.
Yeah, and I feel like I said, I never really thought TV would be something I would do. after going through this experience and seeing like the reality of what TV is and what it takes to make a show, I love it. Mm-hmm. Like, I for sure could see myself trying to do another TV show or something in media.
You start your own TV show.
Yeah, I mean,
YouTube. Are you on YouTube?
I'm not on YouTube. See, YouTube makes me, so I know nothing about like video. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my downfall. So to do YouTube, like I've tried to do a couple of videos, but it's mostly like cell phone and they look really bad. So it ends up being like, yeah, like I do a lot of stories on Instagram. I think that's really fun. I just really like it. I don't know what's next, but something's next. I don't know.
So tell us about the MasterChef experience. Was it more than you could imagine? Was it?
It was nothing like I imagined. Like, really. I mean, I obviously can't say much, but like going into it, I thought for sure it's gonna be like a culinary school or something, and it was like literally nothing like a culinary school. I think the biggest thing about MasterChef that surprised me was really how much I would learn without being instructed. So even just listening to feedback, criticism, listening to the judges when they're critiquing everybody's dishes. Mm-hmm. What you see on TV, it's edited, so obviously you're not seeing the whole thing. They do critique us for longer than what you see, which is amazing. I'm really thankful they did that, because I feel like Gordon Ramsay telling you, even like Chef Ramsay and Joe Bastianich, they've eaten at some of the best restaurants in the world. Yeah. They cook some of the best food. Yeah. And so anything they say, like, I'm going to soak it up. Yeah.
So how do you I haven't really watched it much. I've seen a few like the Hell Kitchen episodes and stuff like that. But you're saying it's not really like the same type of he's just in your face kind of thing?
No, not so much. So Hell's Kitchen, it's professional chefs that go in and they're like vying for a job in one of his restaurants, and usually it's like an exec chef job. So he's looking for somebody that can lead, that can run a restaurant, that can cook scallops without burning them, like that sort of thing. MasterChef is more home cooks. So the majority of us have never had any formal training. I mean, for me, I cook for my kids. I learned from the internet. I took a cake decorating class at Michael's like 10 years ago.
I didn't even know they did that at Michael's.
See, that's kind of fun. I think, but you're definitely not going to learn like MasterChef level anything, So I think that's what's fun about it too, is you're seeing people in there that maybe have never worked I never worked in a restaurant. I bussed at the Treasure Island Casino the summer before going to college. Mm-hmm. That was like the only knowledge I had of a restaurant ever. So it's difficult because they hold us up to high standards too. So even though we're home cooks, they expect us to cook like restaurant style dishes. Yep. And that's difficult if you've never done that before. I mean, before going, I would look at Instagram like a lot and just try to see, some plating ideas, see what's trendy right now, get some ideas. Instagram is like the best thing, I think, if you're trying to learn cooking, just for the ideas. I wish they had it 10 years ago when I was trying to learn.
And I don't look on Instagram for that. So is it in the description? I mean, the picture captures your attention, but it's the description where you really learn.
Yeah, so it's even just the picture, just getting an idea of how to plate things. I mean, you can look at
and plate is display, right?
Plate is display. Okay. And really, you eat with your eyes first. And so I truly feel like you can eat mediocre food, but if it looks pretty, you're gonna think it tastes better. And
that's all fancy restaurants do.
Yeah.
They charge more because the
Well, and I mean, some of them are really, really delicious, but it's just a matter of learning how to present your food so that it looks more appetizing and it looks more professional. I mean, as a home cook, cooking for my kids,
Do you do the same thing for the kids?
Well, I do. So at home, I do usually. So
little secret here. On Instagram, I usually will only plate one plate really nice and pretty.
Yeah.
And then that's just for the picture. And usually everybody else gets like a plate with just stuff thrown on it. but yeah. But it is pretty fun because I see my kids, you know, Arjun is 4, Rohan is 2, and I see that they like to have fun with that too. So they eat what we eat. And I notice, like, with microgreens, they'll be, like, stacking them on top, you know? So it's kind of fun because cool. I see that they're kind of learning some of this, too.
Do they help you cook ever?
You know, my kids don't really like to cook. It's weird. I wish that I had a kid that loved to come in and just, like, stir the batter or, like, help me with stuff. But they come in and they have fun for about 2 minutes, and then it's, like, so they're out. But they're 2 little boys, and they're rambunctious, and so maybe as they get older, I do give them, one thing they love to do is I give them a little cutting board. And then I also give them like a kid's chef knife. There's some really cool plastic ones out there that really cut and act like a chef's knife. And they will sit there and just chop vegetables. And they find that really fun. And I think that's a great way to get kids interested in cooking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. Does your husband cook?
He's actually a really great cook. He doesn't cook often.
He's even better, isn't he?
No, he has a good.
He is the master.
Yeah, he is the. No, he would love to hear you say that though. He has a really great palate, which definitely has helped me to be a better cook because he also is not very. I don't know how to phrase this nicely, but he's very blunt. So even if I cook something, he's not going to be somebody that's like, well, it's really good, and just eat it even if it's not. He's going to tell me, like, down to the specific detail of what is wrong with that dish, which seriously drives me crazy, but it's made me a better cook, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Especially cooking a cuisine that I didn't grow up eating. I mean,
right.
I don't have a benchmark. So.
And again, it's back to his culture and what he grew up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just has grown up with a lot of good food over the years. That's neat.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know how like the show works. Cause I don't watch it.
So one thing we got to be careful of, and she'll stop when she needs to, but like you're still in premiere, right?
We're still the filming is done, but it's still airing. So right now we're in top 12.
And you're in top 12.
I'm top 12 so far.
Nice.
So.
And when is it on? Just so we all know.
It's on tonight at 7.
Episode tonight. 7 o'clock.
Tonight, and then there's also one on Thursday. So it's twice a week on Fox, 8/7 Central.
Nice. Do you and your family like get around and like watch it?
So we did have a viewing party to begin with, to see if I would have gotten my apron, and that was at Little Thistle, which was really cool. Steve and Don are great, and so we did a viewing party there. But otherwise, I haven't done a viewing party since. My mom and my sister, you know, they come over once in a while and we'll watch it. But it's so hard because we all have a lot of little kids. And so they just get rambunctious and wild, and so you can't really hear. So what I tend to do is, when it goes on, if I'm at home, I live tweet. Because I think it's kind of fun. You can see what the viewers are thinking, and you can... I never knew I liked Twitter, but MasterChef has kind of developed a love of Twitter in me. And so I will live tweet, and then my husband and I go and watch the show once the kids are sleeping.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so on to your question. I just wanted to make that comment because I didn't...
Yeah, I mean, I don't get like the details of who's on it, like, but what's like just the gist of the show and like how does it work?
Sure. So in the beginning, they had, I believe it was 36 of us that cooked for an apron. So if you get an apron, which I actually have my apron, you want to see it?
Yes, we want to see it.
So you gotta carry it around with you, right? It's like my prized possession. So like my apron with my name on it.
Nice. That is awesome.
So 30.
How do you keep it so clean?
You know, I don't know. Luck.
A white?
Luck.
Yeah.
I don't wear this while cooking. Although this is the actual apron that I wore during cooking. So if you look really closely, there are like some little stains on it and stuff. Battle wounds, you know.
That's right. That's awesome.
No, so like 36 of us tried for an apron. So what you do is you get 45 minutes to cook a signature dish. And you cook your dish. This year they did it a little bit differently. They had our families there, kind of supporting us. And they did it more like, it almost looked like a sporting event. Like they had bleachers and they had people there cheering us on and, you know. And so 36 of us cooked for this apron. And these are pretty coveted. I mean, only 20 people got them. And then when you get an apron, you're on the show.
Okay.
And so I cooked my signature dish, which I did a fish curry, a coconut and coriander fish curry. And you get 45 minutes and then you present it to the judges. And I'm not going to lie, it's like the scariest thing ever because you have no idea what's going to happen. Like nothing. Like, so you take your dish and you walk into like this restaurant area of the set, and it's scary because it's like all dark, and then there's like lights on the judges, and you walk back there and you're just there with your dish and you hand it to the judges, and then you step back and just pray that they like it.
So then they all try it right in front of you, and
they all try it, and they give you critiques on it, and they tell you what they like about it, if they don't like anything about it. I was really lucky. They all loved my dish. And so this year you had to have all 3 judges say yes to you before you could get an apron. And so I was really lucky. I mean, the only critique I had on my dish was that they thought I put a little too much rice on the plate. But Gordon has traveled extensively throughout India. He's even like lived there for, I think it was like between 3 and 6 months. There's a whole documentary on his Indian travels. And so I knew that he knew Indian food like well. And especially this dish that I was cooking, he traveled in that part of the country. It's from the south of India, in Kerala. And the cuisines of India are so varied. So the cuisine in the north is so different from the south. It's different than the east. It's different than the west. Wow. Everything it's like entirely different cuisines. And you're not going to find any of this at the Indian restaurants around here. There's just, you won't. You find mostly northern, a little bit of southern. But yeah, it's so varied. And I knew that he knows so much about Indian food that it was like, I can't screw this up because he's going to know if I screw it up. Did you do that
like strategically, like make an Indian dish because of that reason? Or do you just want to do
I mean, a little yes and a little no. So I just really love to cook Indian food. I mean, that's become like a whole joke. If you look on YouTube, there's even a video of me, and I think they captioned it like Shari can't stop cooking Indian food, something like that. So I just really love to cook Indian food. It's fun, it's creative. There's so many spices, so many different layers of flavor. It's my favorite cuisine to cook, and I'm not even just saying that because I'm married to an Indian man. I just really love it. And so I wanted that to shine. I knew if I cook something that I really love, I'm going to have a better chance at getting an apron. And this particular dish that I cooked was one that I came up with myself. So it's like my own recipe. I know it in my heart. It's not something that I read in a cookbook, you know. And I came up with it after being in that part of the country and just feeling really inspired and learning from some of the local people there. So this dish, it was one of my favorites. It's my husband's favorite. Anytime I ask him, what do you want me to make, like birthdays or whatever, he always will request this dish. So it felt fitting that I cooked that for Gordon.
So it's your recipe. How many times did you make it before it was perfected?
I think the first time I made it, it was delicious. Really? Like I was just, because at that point.
Have you changed it from there then?
A little, not much though. I think the first time I made it, at that point, I was already a fairly decent cook in the Indian style. And so I knew spices and I knew layers. So if you would have asked me like 10 years ago how many times it would take me to perfect it, it probably would have been a lot. But now I feel pretty comfortable with the cuisine to where I can just cook it and usually it'll turn out on first, maybe second try. But I'm also very determined. So if I cook something and it doesn't turn out, my poor husband will probably be eating it for like 2 weeks until I get it perfected.
And we're getting this down.
That chicken curry.
Yeah.
Grilled me on. You're eating it again.
Exactly.
Is there any questions on there on Facebook? Any comments?
It's so much fun watching you on the show.
Who's that?
You're
from?
amazing. Oh, there's multiple people.
Really?
We have a lot of live viewers.
Share them. Where are they from? That is sweet. So much fun.
Christy Williams, awesome. Sherry Brant.
That is so cool. Well, if you guys have any questions, ask away. We got her. She's in the room. She has a mic. Bring those questions on.
Amber KJ, much love.
That's awesome. Right now, what is in your fridge? We're going to go around the table and say what is in your fridge. And you can add it in your comments down below if you're watching too, but What is in your fridge, Josh?
Not a lot. We have a mini fridge right now in our room. And there's IPAs and I think some like salami and cheese, just like little sandwiches here and there. It's pretty basic, yeah. I go out to eat a lot.
That would be quite the mystery box. I mean, I feel like that would throw me off a little bit.
And okay.
All right, in my fridge right now, we have Miller High Life. There are some Miller High Life. There is the leftovers that my girlfriend Abby made last night. I remember her dish 2 nights prior as like a chicken nugget and something else. I can't remember last night, so it was delicious, but we got a lot of it. Oh, it was like a stir fry with vegetables and things like that, so we got that all nicely packaged together. And there's some almond milk.
Oh, you're one of those almond milk guys, huh?
I don't know why, it just has kind of grown on me. And then in the freezer, there's frozen meals. I'm not much of a cook. Abby, you're good.
We all got some of those. I mean, even I have some stuff like that. Just with the kids, you can't always cook a brilliant lunch or whatever. Like sometimes you just want a break, you know?
Yeah. Sure. What's in your fridge?
So in my fridge, I have some paneer that I fried up last night that I'm gonna make tonight. So I'm gonna make like a butter paneer, which is paneer and peas curry. Paneer is an Indian cheese.
Okay.
It's really delicious. It's a great vegetarian option. I mean, think tofu, but like with more flavor.
I haven't had tofu either.
You haven't had tofu? We need to like open you up.
I know.
Look at this. This is the kind of stuff I want to change. I want to help them.
What about Spam? You ever
Spam?
had Spam?
I did have Spam when I was a kid. I have not bought Spam in my adult life ever, but like as a kid, you know, my mom wouldn't buy it very often either, but I remember my aunt buying it. And so, yes, I have had Spam. I can't say that I like it.
I feel like you need to experiment with it. Just being from Southeast Minnesota, you need to like...
I probably should.
Spice it up.
Yeah. Spam should reach out to me. See what we can do together.
I like that.
Spam sponsorship.
The Hormel Institute is listening. You need to reach out. That's cool.
Yeah.
What else you got, Josh?
So are you one of the guys that like fries up Spam and just eats it?
I'm like one of the guys that if it's not pre-packaged and I can't put it in the microwave, I am probably not going to eat. I'll have to go out to eat.
So that's what I do all the time.
It's not good for you. That's where Abby is very at cooking.
So being part of the show, how much have you gotten to like share with like social media and just...
So I share a lot with social media. Obviously, I can't give away spoilers or anything like that. But I really think it's fun to interact with the people that love the show. Because I know as somebody that watches TV shows once in a while, like it's fun when somebody that you're watching like actually will interact with you. And it's cool because I think it also helps remind people that we're real people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people behind the keyboard that say not so nice things about us, you know, and it hurts, but I feel like when you kind of go and just remind them that, hey, like I exist. I'm not like this actress on TV pretending like, you know, like I feel like they've been really receptive, and I think they're happy that we're doing that. Most of the cast has been doing that. So.
What platform? And you said you've grown an appreciation for Twitter.
Yeah.
What other platforms are you on?
So I really love Instagram.
Really?
I think it's my favorite just because I do like photography as well. So it kind of combines those. The food photography is really fun for me. And I've gotten a lot better. I mean, if you look at my blog from like 10 years ago and compare it to now, you can see there's a huge evolution on not only my cooking, but also my photography. Mm-hmm. And I like, you know, Facebook's not my favorite, but...
Why?
I appreciate it, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know. I just feel like Instagram is a little bit more fun. It keeps my interest a little bit longer.
Ditto to that. I agree. What tips do you have for those that are like trying to do something in the culinary space on Instagram? What would be some tips you would give them?
Like cooking, or what do you mean?
Culinary in general. I mean, they could be a manager at a restaurant and trying to showcase their food to trying to start a food blog. I mean, it could be anything, I would think.
I would say just do it. That's the hardest part. I mean, sometimes we sit around, I'm guilty of it too. You sit around and think about what you want to do, but you don't actually do it. And I mean, it's the same with even a
going on to MasterChef. Like, how many people sit around and say, like, I want to do this. This is what, but then never actually do it. So I think the starting is probably the biggest piece of advice. Just do it. Just start by taking pictures of your dinner. Work on your lighting. The lighting is the biggest thing. I mean, I tell people my Instagram, most of my pictures on there are taken with my phone.
Are you always top down? I haven't looked yet.
No, so there's some little tricks to food photography, and top down is a good trick, but it doesn't work for everything. So I like to get some of the side angles. I don't really like super up close shots because I like to see what I'm eating. I like to see what it's all gonna look like. So a lot of times people will post things that are just like so up close that sometimes you don't even know what it is, you know? And my big thing too is I really like the food to look like what I'm eating. So you're not gonna see a ton of like oversaturation. That's kind of a big thing in the food, like Instagram thing right now is where people are posting things that it's just edited. Like, well, yeah, it's heavily edited, it's oversaturated, it's overexposed, it doesn't look like real food.
No filter needed.
Yeah, sure, very little filter. I mean, you gotta do a little editing, but like, yeah, very little. I think if you keep it to look like what you're actually making, when, like, let's say you hire me to cook for you, right? Because you see things on my Instagram.
Because
and
I didn't want to cook and all I was salami in my
but if I show up with something, like you look at my Instagram and you say, this is what I want to eat, and I show up with something that looks totally different than what you saw, like, you're not going to be happy. So I feel like, for me, it's important to showcase, like, really what it is. Yeah.
Did your following grow after being on the show?
It has been growing. So, my following is all organically grown, so obviously that takes a while. It's difficult, even with being on a show. I feel like, you know, it's pretty difficult. But I've been noticing lately, especially, it's been maybe like 100 new followers a day.
Wow, good for you. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's exciting, yeah.
I think it's exciting.
It's community.
It's community
people
and
interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, and for me, I love that there are actually people that like want to follow me, and because of that, I feel like, let's say I do a cookbook in the future, I feel like these are people that also will be interested in what I have to say. They're going to be interested in my book, you know. So I'm looking at it also as the future,
opportunities.
Like, yeah, I mean,
you could definitely do a YouTube channel.
You need to do a YouTube channel.
Well, we'll have to chat because you know video and I don't.
And what I would say is raw is great. Like, look at some of the, I was for like 1 minute I wanted to be okay at cooking, and so like I was watching some cooking ones, and the ones that I appreciated were the raw ones with the phone, was like, and they did some editing where they would jump cut to like, all right, it's finally done 30 minutes later, but it was really with the phone. I'm like, I can do this, like they're doing it with the phone, like come on, you know?
Yeah, well, and I feel like it's real because it's obtainable, so it could be like, you could step in and do, that's what I love about, like when I used to blog, I would be very precise about different things. So like you could jump in, do one of my recipes, and it's all there. Like anyone can do it. I don't, I explain things because I didn't cook, and so I don't take for granted certain things, like pans. Like what kind of pan should you use? I mean, you could say, get a heavy bottom pan. Okay, well, what does that mean? So I always try to explain some of that that stuff too, and I think it's important. I think people relate to you more if they feel like they can also do it.
Yeah, I got some fun comments coming in. So one of the comments, and we'll get to this story, Shari Brand said, what I thought was so awesome is how she represented Minnesota nice with her flannel plaid blouse, her first cook. That's one of the comments. Richard Noah Sims is so proud of you. Kathy Ruggerberg, she says, had a lot of us cheerleading her from the original tryout in the city. So proud of you. So let's get into this flannel. What is the Minnesota nice flannel that is being
the original editions in Minneapolis were like August, and nobody's really wearing flannel in August. I mean, some people are wearing flannel in August, but most people aren't. And so originally I was going to show up in the audition wearing something completely different. And we went to drop my kids off at my sister's house, and my niece, who's 8, and she's been cooking with me since she was little, so we've kind of learned together, comes running out of the house wearing like buffalo plaid. And I was like, that's cute. Like, so I made my husband take me back home so I could change into my buffalo plaid.
Yes.
And then I wore that to the audition along with, so it was a red plaid with red heels and red lipstick. And that's mostly what I wear. I can't say I wear a lot of plaid, but like I always wear the lipstick, and the heels have been like my lucky heels. So it just kind of made sense. But I think wearing that buffalo plaid, it actually helped me stand out.
Yeah.
They remembered me.
Yeah.
And I was shocked I was the only person in plaid that I saw there.
So I feel like the next people that need to do a deal with you is Duluth Trading Company, because I feel like flannel and Duluth Trading Company go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's the other one.
I need to hit them up.
Have they started their cooking series? Like, do they have the whole,
Yeah, I mean, plaid's a thing, right? Like,
Plaid is a thing.
I feel like I did look very Midwestern on the show.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess it's me too. Sometimes you are when you don't, like, you see yourself differently than others see you too. So like, I'm like, I hate plaid. And it's so funny because even when I was there, I was complaining, right, about the shirt and always wearing plaid. And then I pull out my driver's license, and I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm wearing the exact same outfit. So it's like, I guess I do wear this.
Is it weird watching yourself on TV?
It's really weird watching yourself on TV. I feel like no matter what, and I'm sure the other contestants will probably agree to this too, like, you never like how you look yourself on TV. So like, watching it is really strange because you're like, oh my gosh, I see this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong, and I know like everything that happened, and so it's even weirder seeing how it's played out on TV. Yeah.
I feel like that's, yeah.
I don't even watch. Like, I put some videos on YouTube. I don't like watching them. I just, nope. They're out there, they're done. Like, whatever. Let it go. Well done. That's from Kelly. Kelly Fennell. You can pronounce her name right. I had another good question. Oh, your blog. So, where do people find your blog? And what is it built on? Because we're kind of on, like, we love the social media stuff.
Sure. So I started my blog, oh gosh, it's probably been over 10 years ago. I mean, it was when I first started cooking, and I wish I would have kept up with it at that time. So I started it out, it was called myfancypantry.com. I hated the name. I feel like you always
that like twice now.
Yeah, like
I love both of those. Those are great. Your username on Instagram is great, and that's great URL.
And so I still own the URL, like the URL, but I don't.
And it's for sale for $10,000.
Yep, right. So I started blogging on My Fancy Pantry about 10 years ago, and back then, like, food blogging wasn't really a thing, and it was kind of starting. And so I was focusing mostly on Indian food, but not only Indian food. It was just kind of whatever I wanted to cook, And so I was doing a lot of that, and my viewership actually was really great at the time. I mean, looking back at it now, I have recipes on there that have millions of views.
That's sweet.
And so, like, even still today, I have not updated My Fancy Pantry in, like, probably since my kid was born, so at least, like, 5 years ago. And it still gets, like, thousands of views a day doing nothing. So I wish I would have actually kept with it because I feel like I could have made it into something.
There's still time.
Well, then I started Spiced Up Mom, thinking, I'm a mom now, so things have kind of changed, and I don't only want to write about cooking because also, like, being a mom is a pretty big part of my life, and struggling with the parenting and, like, the naughty toddlers, the preschoolers. So I wanted to be able to write a little bit about that too. So I started Spiced Up Mom probably a couple years ago. And that it's all on WordPress, which drives my husband crazy. He's into IT, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Because it can be kind of hard to. I was dumb when I did it. So, like, My Fancy Pantry was on WordPress.com, which makes it very hard. Like, you can't advertise on the .com. It has to be on the .org. So when I started Spiced Up Mom, I did it on the .org, and then it's easier to do, like, advertising and whatnot. But it was.
And when you say advertising, what do you mean?
So you can get, like, ads put on there. It's just a way to. Yeah, so it's a way to generate income on your blog. Which I should have been doing for a long time, but I still haven't, actually. There's no ads on my blog. But it can be hard to go in and, like, edit some of the, I don't know, edit's not the right word, but to go in For my husband, he's a IT whiz, so like he can go in and he can fix stuff, but for me to do it, it's like impossible. It's user friendly, but at the same time, it's not. And he had some ideas of some other ones. I don't even know which ones that I should have used, but.
Are you writing weekly still, or are you doing monthly, or what's
it's very sporadic. I need to actually devote time and just do it, and that's one of my goals coming up. Things have been a little bit crazy, with the show and just with my kids and just life in general, that I know, like I was saying earlier, you have to do it, right? You have to start. If you don't start, it's not going to happen. So I need to just set that time aside and be like, I'm starting. But yes, I do plan. I would love to write weekly. I used to give out a lot of recipes. I don't do that as much anymore for a few reasons. I mean, one of the main reasons was when I was blogging on My Fancy Pantry and things were, I was getting a little bit successful with that. People would send so many emails, like just demanding emails. I would have people like stealing images off of my blog and posting them on like food trucks, and I'd be getting emails from people like halfway across the country telling them that my stuff is, and I mean, it just felt really defeating. Like you put in all this work and all of a sudden like this recipe that you knew, like, because obviously before I make a recipe, you do research, right? So you Google, you see, does it exist? And what, if it does exist, what does it look like and whatever. And so there were recipes I would put out there that were literally my own recipes that you would find duplicated on big blogs. And there's no way a little blogger can compete with like this big blogger. And it just feels like defeating. But again, it's that you need to put yourself out there. It'll never happen otherwise. So.
Yeah. Well, and there's a cookbook in the works.
A cookbook I think would be really fun. I think I would like to do that. I think Indian food can be kind of intimidating, and I would really love to do a book that makes it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your username on Twitter?
Spiced Up Mom. Pretty much everything is Spiced Up Mom now. I just kind of kept it that way to make it easy to find me.
That's really good.
Did you ever have a different Twitter? Like, did you try it?
I think I did, but it was just My Fancy Pantry, and then I just changed the name.
Yeah.
So it's all been pretty much the same. The only thing I couldn't do when I switched to Spiced Up Mom is My Fancy Pantry, the blog, had like 10,000 followers, and I couldn't transfer those followers to my new blog. Maybe I can, I don't know how. And I also had a Facebook page for that blog that had, almost 4,000 followers, but I couldn't, like, they wouldn't let me merge the pages.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to start fresh.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, congratulations on your achievements, and congratulations on the show. I think that's, someone said here, let's see who it was, if I can find it. Someone said, there it is, Karen Marie, Rochester MN Proud. Which I think that's the
Thank
truth.
You.
Yeah, so it's cool to see people from Rochester doing things. We were talking about that just before we went live, is like, Rochester has a lot of opportunity for people to do things.
And there's a lot of talented people here in town. And I feel like the city is better for highlighting those people and for, everything that these people can bring. And there's so many. I mean, you have artists, you have cooks, it's endless, the potential and the talent in this town, and it can only make the town better.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. Share about where people can find the next episode, where they can find you.
So you can tune in tonight on Fox 47 here in town. Otherwise, if you get the Minneapolis stations, it's Fox 9. And it'll be tonight, 8/7 Central on Fox. And tomorrow as well, so.
And Spiced Up Mom on all things social?
Yep, Spiced Up Mom on Instagram, and you can find me Spiced Up Mom on Facebook, as well as Twitter.
That's awesome. Where can they find you, Spiced Up Man?
Spiced Up Mom. You can find website, where are we looking? I'm looking at the wrong one. MediaCore. Instagram, Facebook, got a new website up. It's actually nice.
Is it? I'll have to check it out. You can find Office of China Hall on Instagram, and then also our Facebook page. If you're here, we are also going out to the podcast channel. So we're on Spotify and SoundCloud and all the good stuff. So look up Office of China Hall and share it with a friend. We'll see you next time.